everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are really excited today. We are doing a bonus episode where we are talking some Netflix movies, and it's going to be super fun. And my friend Kristen Maldonado is here. And thank you so much, Kristen, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to get into the Christmas movies.
Yes. So I can't remember if you have been on Hallmarkies before, but you've been on Rachel's Reviews before. But for people that are new to you, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about what you do on your channel?
Yes, so I am a TV and movie critic. I write for my own site called Pop Culture Planet, where I also have a podcast and a YouTube channel that's connected to it. And I'm really all about, covering the world of entertainment, but also shining a light on representation and inclusion. So, yeah.
Would you say that you are a Christmas movie fan?
I am. Yes, I do love it. I've been watching all the Christmas movies as they've been dropping. Netflix, Hallmark, Lifetime. There's been a lot of good ones this year.
Yeah. It's been a pretty good year. I would say so far, pretty good start to the season.
Definitely. And it's like only November. So there's a lot more to go.
Yes. And for the most part, I feel like Netflix has delivered some pretty good Christmas movies over the years. I mean, you've got Single All the Way last year, which was one of the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good. And they had things like Jingle All the Way and I'm not Jingle All the Way. They had things like Jingle Jangle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. And but then they do have some big misses, like with the Christmas in California movies. Ooh,
I like
those were rough.
I like the ones from the production company that like do all the Easter eggs. So like where they'll connect like, oh, here's like a little reference to this movie in the Christmas Prince, and then the Princess Switch, and all those connections. And I did notice some in
in Falling for Christmas. There's a good.
I did notice some in Falling for Christmas. Yeah. I'm like, what's the name?
The Princess Switch movies were pretty fun. And I liked those much better than the Night for Christmas one.
That one was cheesy, but
it was a little disappointing to me.
Honestly, I feel like they set up something there that I would have watched a second movie of them time traveling, going into the past.
Like if I'm having my time travel Christmas movie, I want it to be nuttier. I want it to be sillier. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be a big, I think, determinant as far as the two movies we're talking about today. Like, do you want silly or do you want like a little more grounded? Like, what is what the preference is in movies?
I think I like it a little bit sillier. Like it was a little bit over the top and you're like, what in the world? Like that, that's definitely something that I think makes a fun Christmas movie. Yeah. And when they have like the specific tropes that you're like, there we go. They're doing, there's the guy that's probably Santa. There's the, all those different little tropes I think are really fun.
Yeah, that's true. They also have the Christmas Chronicles, the Santa, because that's something that Netflix can provide that really most of the other networks aren't doing, is actually Santa movies. I mean, it's funny, they had this Lights Camera Christmas, which I enjoyed on Hallmark, where they was satirizing Hallmark, and they were supposed to be doing this My Favorite Santa movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Hallmark hasn't done a Santa movie in so long.
Yeah, but it was a fun one. That was a fun one too.
It was really fun. But I mean, you have to go way back to like 2015 for like a real Santa movie. I mean, it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. So that I think makes some of these, as you were saying, some of these Netflix movies really stick out because it's like there's a more whimsy, a little more silliness to them, which is fun.
Definitely. I mean, like when they had the Princess Switch 3, there was like 3 Vanessa Hudgenses. Like, like that's funny.
Yeah.
Thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the good folks at Baker Publishing Group. Looking for the perfect gift for the book lover in your life? Dive into some great dual time novels this Christmas where the past intersects with the present. First up, we have By Way of the Moonlight by Elizabeth Musser. Allie Massey's dream to use her grandparents' estate for equine therapy is crushed when she discovers the property has been sold to a contractor. With weeks until demolition, Allie unearths some of Nanadale's best-kept secrets, including her champion filly, a handsome man, and one fateful night during World War II, and perhaps a clue to keep her own dream alive. Next, Where the Last Rose Blooms by Ashley Clark. More than a century apart, two women seek lost hope. Abolitionist Clara is determined to help an enslaved woman reunite with her daughter. Alice can't stop wondering what happened to her mother in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Faced with the unknown, both women will have to dig deep to let their courage bloom. Next, When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Meyer. Libby has been given a powerful gift to live one life in 1774 colonial Williamsburg and the other in 1914 Gilded Age New York City. When she falls asleep in one life, she wakes up in the other without any time passing. On her 21st birthday, Libby must choose one path and forfeit the other. But how can she possibly decide when she has so much to lose? Then we have The Master Craftsman by Kelly Stewart. When Ava Lane's dying treasure hunter father entrusts to her his mission to find a missing Fabergé egg, she has no idea how high the stakes will climb or how her allegiances will be tested. Join the hunt in this lavish dual-time narrative that plunges you into the 1917 Russian Revolution, the fall of the Romanovs, and a long-buried Soviet secret. And finally, The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunsfold. Frustrated reporter Aidan Kelly begrudgingly agrees to help a hospice patient prepare her obituary, but old Claire Kipp has some incredible stories and some surprises up her sleeve that promises to make this seemingly throwaway assignment a life-changing one. So head over to bakerbookhouse.com/featured/Hallmarkies to pick up one of these great books and use code Hallmarkies40 for 40% off these titles from November 14th to December 12th. That's bakerbookhouse.com/featured/Hallmarkies and use code Hallmarkies40 for 40% off.
Well, in our preview, when we were talking about Falling for Christmas, we all gave it, I think we all gave it an orange, but and that's our, if you don't know, our preview system, an orange is like pretty good. We're excited. And we all talked about how we really wanted this movie to be good. I mean, we want all movies to be good, but there is a side of us, I think, that's all sort of rooting and hoping for Lindsay Lohan that she can bounce back and that she had kind of a rough go of it for a while, and you just want to see people be able to kind of bounce back. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely one of the Christmas movies I was most anticipating. I mean, I don't think, has Lindsay Lohan ever done a Christmas movie before?
I don't think so. I can't think of one.
And you want to see her win. We all grew up with her, and I think that they did a lot of nice, like, little subtle references to things that kind of connected back to her past, like the Jingle Bell Rock dropping that song, connecting it back to Mean Girls a little bit, and
oh yeah,
giving it a little bit of shine.
Yeah, I mean, because it's hard. I've lost two of my cousins to drugs and drug related things, and it's a tough thing to beat. And so I think that since we did kind of grow up with her, we want her to beat it. It's so hard. Yeah. But this plot, I'll do a little summary. In the days leading up to Christmas, a young and newly engaged heiress experiences a skiing accident. After being diagnosed with amnesia, she finds herself in the care of the handsome lodge owner and his daughter. And this again stars Lindsay Lohan and Cord Overstreet, and it's directed by Janine Damian, who did one of our favorites with the Christmas Waltz. Her and her husband Michael Damian, they are really fun, really great, and we had them on for our Patreon watch-alongs that we do last year, and we watched the Christmas Waltz, their movie, and they're just great. And so I was excited to see that she was the director. And you have a screenplay by Ron Oliver, who is like a legend in these movies. He usually directs it, but in this case, he just co-wrote it. And so there were a lot of pieces to give you hope for this movie. Of course, Jack Wagner's also in it, who's always reliable. He's going to do a good job. And I had never seen this Cord Overstreet. Well, I thought I had never seen him before. I'd never seen him in a movie before, but I guess he's on Acapulco, which I did watch and enjoy that show. But he was pretty new to me.
Yeah, he was on Glee. So
okay.
He and Lindsay actually had been in an episode of Glee together before.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I liked him. I thought he was good.
Yeah, he had that, hometown hottie,
yes.
Saving the town. Now the town's got to save him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was It's a Wonderful Life-y.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. That was fun. I don't know. He was charming. He was, very wholesome, kind of your lodge owner.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen him play a father before. I feel like this might be the first time. So that's fun. And I mean, the daughter was the little girl from In the Heights that played the daughter of Usnavi and Vanessa. So I was like, oh, look at that little girl. She's killing it.
Yeah. Well, and this movie was also all filmed in Utah. So that was sort of fun.
Oh, nice.
I was like,
Did
I have to find this.
You recognized?
Well, just sort of more, some places recognized, but just sort of more like, oh, that's Park City. I'm like, somewhere I have to find that hotel. Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
With the cool hot tub and everything.
Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful set.
Yes.
And when they got into the Christmas decorations, I was like, whoa, like they really went full out on all the decor. I thought it looked really good.
And it was filmed between November 8th and December 15th. So it was filmed in the cold, in the snow and everything like that. So that's always nice in these movies when it doesn't look too fake.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually filmed in Vancouver in July. But overall, what did you think of this movie, Falling for Christmas?
Overall, I thought it was really fun. I think one of the things that stood out to me, I know we'd like mentioned just talking to each other that it was like Overboard Christmas edition. And I really liked that they took those elements, but also still kind of kept everyone likable. Like even the character of Tad, who could have easily been this fiance who was like villainized and made to seem like he was like really awful. Like he was over the top and goofy, but he didn't do anything that you were like, oh, he's evil, he's the villain. It was more like you kind of rooted for everyone, and like they each had their own little like, I don't know, fun journeys that they were going on. So like, when his character and Lindsay Lohan's character Sierra they both end up falling off that whole like mountain. I thought it was kind of like refreshing that it wasn't like, oh, he pushed her, or he, didn't try to help her or anything like that. It was like, no, he was going on his own wilderness journey too. And I thought that was really fun. And I don't know, I really liked that.
Well, it actually, I think the original Overboard, I mean, I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but it's actually probably a little more mean-spirited than this movie. This is more, like you said, everybody's kind of nice. Like in the original Overboard, he knows who she is.
Yes.
And he does all of this to out of payback, out of revenge for her.
Yes, there was a moment where I was like, does Cord Overstreet's character know who she is? Like, because like the Overboard story. And I was like, oh no, he really didn't.
Well, yeah, it's weird because they have them meet at the beginning of the movie, and but she's just thinks she doesn't even pay attention. But you would think that if you literally just kind of met somebody the day before, you would recognize them again. But yeah, it's definitely because he spills on her fancy clothes. And but he doesn't. You would also think if she was an heiress, if it was like Paris Hilton or whatever, that people would recognize her.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I know you. But nevertheless, I mean, at least it wasn't that thing in, like I said, with Overboard, where it starts out in this kind of negative place, and then it kind of digs itself out because they had such great chemistry, and the movie works because it is so broad. But you have to be willing to like movies that are a little bit silly, to like Overboard, certainly, and to like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say though is like, I think they maybe could have had Lindsay's character Sierra maybe be a little bit more mean-spirited maybe in the beginning. Like she was definitely spoiled, but she was like still nice. It just seemed like she maybe didn't know how, was trying to find her place. And I think I would have liked to see maybe just a little bit more of like, maybe she is like kind of a meaner, Scrooge kind of character, so to speak. And then being in this new environment kind of makes her, nicer, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, she definitely had a journey of like not knowing how to do anything to then being more self-sufficient and independent, which I thought was a cool journey. But I think that they could have maybe had just a little bit like more bite in the beginning for her.
Well, and one thing that is great about the original Overboard is that basically her being a mother is what kind of causes her to change. Mm-hmm. And the relationship with the boys, and when she's leaving, you're like, mm-hmm. and everybody's crying, all that. Mm-hmm. But and it's interesting, when they did the remake of Overboard, they gender swapped it, and I think it worked pretty well. It was actually a pretty good remake. I thought when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a terrible, but it was actually pretty decent, I thought. Did you ever see that, the Overboard remake?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
with Anna Faris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Mm-hmm. But anyway, and you kind of still have that of like the experience of raising children and loving. So because for children, they force you to be selfless all the time. Mm-hmm. You every day, and so that experience helps them to be less selfish.
Yeah. And I mean, you really saw in this movie that she like, bonded with the young daughter, and like it helped her reconnect with like her roots with her own mother, like her own late mother. And I just thought that there was like some really good messages of like kind of remembering those things, and also, like I said, like going from being someone who can't really do anything on her own to being like more independent and self-sufficient. And like I found that to be empowering, because like she went from like not even knowing how to make breakfast to being like, oh look, I'm like putting this whole thing together. And there was some funny moments in there, with the toilet like exploding up and stuff, just like everyday chores, it's hard out there.
I was thinking like, don't take on everything. Like maybe one day learn how to make a bed. That was very funny. I thought like her trying to put the top sheet on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was very good. But yeah, you see her grow, and I thought that when she would see the snow globe, I thought that's when like all the memories would come back, because they set it up so at the beginning that this was like, her mother, and just such an important thing. And so I thought when she sees the snow globe again later, that she was gonna that was gonna be like the trigger. Mm-hmm. But it really wasn't until Tad and her dad come back and she sees them that she really got triggered.
Yeah, I mean, it was really her dad. I feel like that she didn't remember Tad. She was like, who is this man who's giving me this ring that doesn't fit? Who's like
yeah, and I thought Jack Wagner did a good job as her dad. He's just one of those reliable, like, bring him in, he's gonna do it.
And again, he wasn't this like, oh, I'm this rich, spoiled, terrible man. He was like, oh, I just want what's best for my daughter, and like, hey, if I can give her like a great position and have her like, do things that way, like I would love to. And then she kind of finds her own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so she has this boyfriend Tad, as we said, and he has a lot of energy. Let's put it that way. And I thought they found a good line between. He's definitely the silliest character of the movie, but like at the beginning he's driving like a crazy person, and then he makes her stop singing along to the Christmas song. I was like, oh,
her
little
classic
bitchy darling.
her classic Jingle Bell Rock. He's like, he was one of my favorite parts, I think, because
Yeah, me too.
you know, it was like a great balance of like they didn't necessarily go evil, but he was definitely a character, you know.
He was the funniest
character.
And then he takes her up to the mountains and he proposes to her, and he puts this giant ring on her, and it's too big. And as he's holding on to her, there's an avalanche basically, and they get thrown down the mountain. And he pulls the ring off of her finger, so she doesn't have that on. But I don't know. The whole scene was very funny.
Yeah. And like I said, I like that they set it up that both of them were kind of lost on their own little adventures, you know, and he's out in the wilderness with this guy who's hunting, and like the two of them I thought were really funny together. Like he's just like, thank you for saving me.
Yeah.
You know, like they were really funny.
Oh yeah, especially when he goes and was it Ralph?
Ralph.
In the ice fishing cabin. That was funny. And also when she gets mad and she says, "I'm not Jane Doe." It
was ironic though, the name that she picked, Sarah, Sierra. They sound very similar. It was close. It was very close.
That's true. I forget why. I forgot to write down why it's because it's the daughter that picks the name.
Yeah, through the
book or something.
Animals.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny when they like found her and she's like resting in the lodge. You know, that's where we get our little Easter egg to the other Netflix Christmas movies. When she accidentally on Netflix, you see A Castle for Christmas coming up, and you know, you see all the different Christmas movies: Christmas Inheritance, Christmas Prince, Princess Switch, you know, Holiday Calendar. Like I love when they do those little Easter egg connections, and you're like, oh, so you can watch that in this world. So, you know, like I want them one day to do some crazy huge Netflix cinematic universe where like they all come together. There's like 7 Vanessa Hudgenses, you know, there's like all this, you know, a knight and, you know, a lodge and just everything, and like they're all confused, like how did we get in this multiverse? That's so funny.
Yeah, you could have Kurt Russell there. It would be good.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see it.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn from Overboard. You could have her there. Miss Claus. That would be really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, Thad was really funny when he's like, what kind of crap forest doesn't have a cell tower?
Yeah. He's not used to roughing it.
And then he's out and he sees this owl and he's like, oh. And he goes into this fishing cabin with this guy Ralph, and I don't know, all of that was funny. I was laughing consistently. And you know, when she first is in the hospital, she finds out about the lodge where she can stay, and she's like, does it have room service?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I liked, was that they like showed us what she was like originally, and then when she lost her memory, they still like had some of those moments come back where she like just for, you know, her remote, or like when she says certain things, and then it's like kind of, I don't know, like a recall back to, you know, what she was like sort of like there's this innate, you know, something in her physically that just like automatically goes to do these certain things, and then having to sort of like relearn them or relearn, you know, living life.
Because you want, when she wakes up, for her to still be the same, what she remembers. You want it to still be the same person. You know, that you know, they could still fall in love and everything like that. So if they made her personality like super different, then it would hurt the romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I like the whole scene where she sees the raccoon out the window. That was really funny because I would be the same way. Like,
oh my
a wild animal.
God.
And like I said, I thought the struggling to make the bed scene was really funny. It was
trying to
so
wash
hard.
clothes, trying to clean up the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah, they have some like fun little montages, like you said, like with her doing chores and then also them like doing lots of fun Christmas stuff and everything. And then she finds the angel that was his ex, his wife who'd passed away, her angel. And so she starts kind of thinking, well, we should, put this back up. And of course, he's a hot widower. We see these all the time in these movies. And of course, his wife died around Christmas. Nobody dies any other time in these movies, but at Christmas.
I did think it was nice to see like that there was like a Latino family kind of mixed in there, like with his daughter and the grandmother and the late wife. So that was like fun.
Yeah.
I think that, like brought that element in as well.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
And then you have her when she's trying to get him to put up the angel, he gets a little defensive and he says, "What do you know about memories?" It's like, so then they get this whole idea that they're going to do this event to save the lodge. And all of that was like, perfectly standard for this kind of movie, but pleasant and fun. And you kind of, it helps build tension because that she's going to start remembering things. And so I thought it worked pretty well.
I gotta say, like when they have the party, like, and she comes down in her fancy dress, like they just really did a great job with the fashion in this show or in this film. Like Lindsay really rocks red. Like she looks so great in it.
It's true. She did. She looked really good. And they have we kind of sometimes complain on this podcast about when they slow dance to Christmas songs, particularly if it's like a religious Christmas song, like it's just a little awkward when you're like dancing slow to Silent Night or Away in a Manger or something like that. But in this one, they did it to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which is a solid choice. It's just that Christmas carols are not the most like romantic. But they did pretty good here. And you do feel like definitely, especially once there's this big crowd there, that people would recognize her.
Yeah. Well, I guess someone did. Her dad showed up, so
yeah.
There he goes.
And yeah, like you said, there's this sort of It's a Wonderful Life moment where everybody comes up and gives everybody, people writing paper checks all the time in this world.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Nice.
But they all put checks in the basket to help the lodge
and make it a historical site, which I kind of was like, why is it a historical site? Like,
yeah,
I didn't get that part, but
I mean, I guess it's a pretty old lodge. I don't know how old something has to be in order for it to be in in the world of this movie. I'm not sure if you think it would have to be like at least 50 years at least. But I guess if something's historical, whether it's 10 years or something just happened. Like if it is, it is, I guess. But I mean, this mayor can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, the mayor's do whatever he wants.
And so then Thad and her dad find her, and then she remembers, and you've got this like montage of all the great times that they had together in the lodge, and the little girl is super sad. And then she tells him that she made a Christmas wish, but it was for her dad, that he would find love.
There was a lot of elements going on here.
Yeah, there really was.
It was like the Christmas wish, the Santa is this old man Santa. I guess he is. There's the overboard element. There's the wonderful life kind of element. Like there was a lot happening. I'm lost in the wilderness. Like there was a lot going on in this movie, honestly.
Yeah. And also there was Santa was there, you know, his shenanigans, and there's this like super fancy sleigh, and all of a sudden it's there, so that he tries to ride the snowmobile, but no luck. And so he ends up in the sleigh, and she breaks up with Thad, but he's not sad for long, because there's the doorman or concierge guy at the hotel that's ready to go.
Yeah. You know, I thought it was really refreshing to see that like Sierra made her own decision to just be like, actually, I don't want to be with Tad. Like, you know, because I feel like sometimes in like romances, it'll be like, well, she got engaged to him, right? So she's just gonna go, and then the guy will show up and be like, no, wait, and then like expresses, and she was just kind of like, you know what? Actually, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't want to be with him. I'll go tell this guy I like him on my own, or I'll just do my own thing, you know? And so I thought that was nice that she kind of had that autonomy to just be like, I'm not going to be in something that doesn't work for me just because that's what it was before.
Yeah. Well, and his main reason, it seemed like, for wanting to date her was to get more hashtags and more social media.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like he was.
When she broke up with him, he was like, could I post about this?
Yeah.
I guess.
She's like, knock yourself out. Yeah. And then I thought it was kind of funny when he's like declaring his love for her to the limo. And then Thad rolls down the window, and he's like, very touching, but
I'm good. I got
Yeah. And, you know, it all ends with a kiss under the mistletoe. So,
yep. Everybody coming together and saving the lodge, finding real love, you know.
Yeah. So I think most people, if you're jonesing for a fun, over the top comedy around Christmas, I think that this will suffice. I think most people will really have a good time with it. I think Lindsay is great. I liked Chad. I thought he was really good. It made me laugh. I liked Thad. All the pieces basically come together, but you have to be willing to like something that's a little bit silly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like hate the original Overboard, you probably won't go for this, but it is a little bit less problematic than the original Overboard.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. Even like little things like, oh, are they going to share a kiss? And like his Quarter of Street's character being like, oh, well, I don't know if you're actually with someone, so like let's you know, like they're very like respectful of things like that. That I don't think they would have been, that they definitely weren't in the original Overboard. But you know, they're different energies. But I definitely think Lindsay did a great job. She looked great. The outfits were on point. It was very funny, very heartwarming, great Christmas decor all around. Tad was a standout to me. I thought he was one of the best moments, just because he added that like over the top humor. I do think that there could have been like I said, like a little bit more bite maybe in the beginning, especially with like Lindsay, just to like make a bigger arc of change. But overall, I thought it was fun, and I did find it refreshing that like there wasn't really like a villain. It was more just like this girl has amnesia and now she's figuring out her life and being more independent and like choosing what she really wants, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the world of these movies, I would give this one, I think 4 out of 5 crowns. I had a good time with it. What would you give it?
I agree. I think 4 out of 5 crowns.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Well, let's talk Christmas with You. So this, we got kind of another comeback with Freddie Prinze Jr. And he hadn't done, I don't think, a live action movie in a while. He'd been doing voice work for a while, particularly in Star Wars. He was on Star Wars Rebels and some other things. And so he'd been around, but just hadn't been starring in a movie like this in a long time. So that was kind of fun to see him.
Yeah.
IMDb, Amy Garcia, it sounds like she was more of a dancer than a singer. And that I had never, she was new to me. I didn't know her, but I guess she was on Dexter. So had you seen her?
I know her best from Lucifer.
Oh, from Lucifer.
Yeah.
I guess that she was on Broadway and did some other stuff. But I liked her. I thought that she was very warm and endearing presence on screen.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. It was kind of giving like J-Lo energy, you know?
Yeah. And I guess just the summary of this follows a pop star who got a career burnout and escapes to a small town where she finds not only inspiration, but a shot of love. And so basically the idea behind this movie is you have this pop star who's getting kind of usurped by the new next best thing. And she doesn't know what to do. And she's feeling out of inspiration. And she sees this basically like YouTube or TikTok kind of video from one of her fans singing the song and one of her songs. And she's like, well, why don't we go see her and surprise her? So they go up there, and the little girl, her dad, or I should say she's like a teenager, young lady. Her dad is a music teacher. So they end up writing a song together. And so overall, what did you think about this one?
This one was cute. It was giving me like Marry Me vibes, like the J-Lo Marry Me, but Christmas. And I don't know, I believed Freddie Prinze Jr. a little bit more as like a guy who's like, oh, this famous musician wants to write a song with me, more than I did of like Owen Wilson being like, oh, I don't know this celebrity world. Like, what are you talking about, Owen Wilson? You know that celebrity world. And I thought that there was some really good messages about like opening up yourself to like new opportunities, taking risks, but also realizing that like just because like new people are coming onto the scene of something doesn't mean that we have to like pit women against each other. Which I thought that was a nice message.
Yeah, overall, this movie was very sweet and nice. And if you don't like the over the top kind of comedy of Falling for Christmas, then this might be more your jam than that. But I did find it, compared to, because I watched them one after another, and compared to Falling for Christmas, this one was a little bit more slow. It was a little bit more boring, I thought.
Yeah, I could see that. Although I do love a classic like pop star at Christmas. Like One of my
Yeah.
favorites is A Diva's Christmas Carol. I love a
Oh yes.
diva at
I
Christmas time.
I mean that's an all-time classic.
Yeah. Did you know they're
But
making a sequel or sort of ish
I
sequel?
I heard that, but I'm very skeptical. I don't know. All the pieces were so perfect for that one.
I know. A
You
new
know, how do
Diva's Christmas
you?
Carol with Ashanti.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Oh, she actually did a Lifetime movie. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. That was actually pretty good, Ashanti. So who knows? Maybe that'll be good. But yeah, I mean, her for being as famous she is, like her singing wasn't like that amazing. It's like in Marry Me or things like that. Like the songs are so good. But I guess
In
I
this
mean
one?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I would say the singing was that strong for
Yeah.
being about a pop star.
Yes, I I agree. But how did you feel about their chemistry? Did you think they had good chemistry?
They were cute. I think Freddie Prinze Jr. is very endearing.
Mhm.
So I felt like I was kind of like, oh, Freddie,
It was sweet. It was sweet.
He was sweet.
Yeah.
What'd you
And
think?
I didn't know that until I saw this movie. I didn't know that Freddie Prinze Jr. has that he was raised in New Mexico, that his I think it was his grandma or his I don't know, that he has Latin heritage.
Yeah, his father was Puerto Rican and German, and so he's like, yeah, I always forget that Freddie Prinze Jr. is Latino, and then when a movie like this comes out, I think it's really nice because, I don't think there's a lot of holiday movies necessarily centered around like Latino families, and the fact that like we get to see this guy that like we've grown up with and being like, wait a minute, oh God, this dude's part Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. And they were making traditional foods, and I'm pretty sure he's fluent in Spanish. Like I think that was so cool to see all of that, and it kind of felt like you were learning like something new about him, and kind of seeing his heritage kind of brought to life a little bit.
Yeah, and on the Wikipedia it said that after his father died, that him and his mother relocated to Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was raised Catholic, and it says that he embraces his Latin ancestry as his paternal grandmother was Puerto Rican, and he is fluent in Spanish. So I had no idea about that. So that's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they do work in some Latino traditions in the movie, like making tamales, things like that, which are so delicious. I love tamales.
Yeah,
they're so good.
I was like, I couldn't tell like what type of Latino they were supposed to be, because I know he's Puerto Rican, and I believe Amy Garcia is Puerto Rican and Mexican, and then I don't know, my family doesn't make tamales, but I mean, I was like, I'll eat them. Like, that looks delicious. So I was like, I don't, because I'm Puerto Rican. And I couldn't tell what kind they were, but I was like, I'm having fun. Let's.
And she didn't seem to have been brought up with a lot of these traditions. Like, she didn't know. She seemed to have never made tamales before.
Yeah.
Some of those other things. So. But yeah, I mean, it's fun when she comes in because everybody's like shocked, and the tias, the aunts, when she shows up, and they're all like, ah.
Yes.
I also liked the fact that they were very realistic about how many views this video would have gotten.
Yeah.
It only has 20 views. Because sometimes these kind of movies, like, they don't seem to really understand what.
Yeah, they'll either go really, really high, or like, really just, it doesn't make sense.
That it's like so easy, but that was a lot of fun, the beginning. And I do think that they should have just made it a non-snowy environment, because the fake snow, the digital snow that they added into this movie looked terrible. I mean, I would way rather have like real fake snow than digital snow. Digital snow looks terrible.
These are things that you, as the Christmas master, reckon. I didn't even realize that.
so bad to me. I was like, oh no.
But I was like, why are they gonna drink tequila out in this? Like, it's just snowing on them, and they're like, cheers.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
It's Christmas tequila. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. but I have to give Amy Garcia credit because they made her wear these leather pants almost the whole movie, and they looked so uncomfortable to me. I'm just like, like she rocked it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, they looked so uncomfortable to me. They were so tight.
Too funny.
Yeah, I don't know, but the girl, I think her name was Christina, I think
so.
Yeah, so she is getting ready for her quinceañera, and so they're planning this like dance and everything, and did you do a quinceañera kind of thing?
No, I did a sweet 16.
Oh, okay, that's cool. But that was a fun sort of dynamic, and I thought the relationship between the girl and Freddie Prinze Jr. as her dad was very endearing.
Yeah, I love like a strong father-daughter bond, because I don't know if we always see that, and I love when it's like, the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
just against the world,
Yeah, it's cute. I mean, another hot widower we've got going on. And we find out that he was a big fan of her like early work, but she's lost her way, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so they start writing this Christmas song, which I think would be one of the hardest things to do, is to write because it's just like, what else is there to say about Christmas, Like,
yeah.
I think it would be really hard to do something new for Christmas, but if you can, then it's like, if you can find a way to connect your song to either Christmas, weddings, or sports, you are going to make a lot of money off of your song.
Yes. And like I said, like watching the two of them, like I believed Freddie Prinze Jr. being like, oh my God, you want to write this song with me? Like a little bit more than I believed, like the whole situation to marry me. I'm trying to figure out, like, does Freddie Prinze Jr. play instruments? And like, I don't know. It was just a very musical,
Yeah.
Moment, so.
I mean, he's like your classic high school band teacher kind of thing. Like, no, it's just enough to be pretty good, but not enough to be on that like higher level of like, genius or whatever, but just like solid. Yeah, thanks. And so there's this girl named Cherry who's being kind of put in front of her by the record executive, and she's going to get to go on SNL and everything. And I liked the fact they didn't make her too catty.
Yeah, I like that it was, I feel like the beginning when she was like meeting characters like Cherry, it was like a miscommunication sort of. And then as like they got to that SNL situation, everything, it was sort of like, why are we letting these people pit us against each other? Like, we should be uplifting each other. And you know what, you go do it, you go do SNL and like enjoy. Like, why do we need to? And also, I didn't like that record executive was like, okay, Cherry's gonna do it. Oh, actually, never mind, you're gonna do it now. Oh, never mind. Like, make your decision. You can't you can't be switching things up like that at the last minute. Like,
well, and they probably wouldn't allow it on Saturday Night Live. I mean, they have to promote things, and so you can't just be like the day before, be like, oh, sorry, we're bringing in a different singer.
That was like hours before it was about to start. They were like, oh, someone else is gonna come in. You can't. That's not how it works.
No.
But if it was, that's like very messy to like pit women against each other like that. For what? But you're the one making money off of them. I didn't think that was cool of him.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that if I was the record exec, I would want to just have them both on SNL.
Yeah.
Do what?
Ways, like why? Yeah, like why? You're gonna make money either way. Why don't you just do your job and get them both the attention they need?
Of course, the SNL thing is the same day as the quinceañera, and so she's gonna miss it after she's been helping them get ready. And you see this in so many movies, you know, where the person will be doing the presentation and then they'll be like, I have to leave. You're just like,
Yeah.
This wasn't that cringe. It was pretty good because it was just, it wasn't like it was mid performance or something like that, like they sometimes do. So it was pretty good. And I liked the scenes when it was all cozy and they're writing the song and you get a near kiss and they're getting closer and all that. That was fun. And then there's the big gala that they have. And I thought she looked really good. That was a great dress. She looked very beautiful.
Absolutely.
I was just happy to see her out of those leather pants.
give her something else to wear.
Oh my
She's been stuck in this one outfit.
And she says that she says that I survived by throwing myself into the music. And so then they have this kind of fight and he says, you've got to take risks. Was it just about the song for you? It was more than that for me.
Yeah, I thought that was like, I wasn't expecting that scene. I feel like, I don't know, like he really just was like, I'm putting it out there. I like it. And she was like, oh. So yeah, I don't know. There was something about that scene that like I was like, why am I getting teary? Why?
He was like, it was never about the song for me. It was always you, always you. I think you feel the same way too. It was good.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like sometimes in movies it's like they, you know, you're waiting for like, even in like Falling for Christmas, it was like, right, you waited till the very end for the guy to finally say how he felt about the character. So I was like surprised that it wasn't quite the end yet. And he was like, this is how I feel.
Yeah, there was still like 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. I hope it works out, you know, like I wasn't expecting that, I guess. So
yeah,
you know, that threw me a little bit. I was like, okay, great. Like,
yeah,
Freddie Prinze telling it like it is.
Me too. I agree. And because sometimes when you know, and sometimes it doesn't take a long time to you're with somebody and you feel it and you might not like, you might still date for a while before becoming committed, but you still knew pretty early on that this is the person. This is it.
I feel like that was very like refreshing and bold of him, and like kind of reminded me of, you know, when I first met my husband and how he was, you know, very like upfront. And maybe that's why I really like it, because I think also sometimes in projects, like sort of like what we were saying about Falling for Christmas, which is something I'm glad they didn't do, is sometimes I feel like you have these people that are, you know, falling for each other, but they don't want to admit it. And then maybe one person feels a certain way and they just keep staying with the person they don't really like or don't really want to be with just because it's somebody. And I'm like, I hate when they do that. And so the fact that Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character was just like, I'm going to tell you how I feel and we'll go from there. And at first she's sort of like, well, I'm going to stick with this guy that I'm sort of with because, you know, another influencer type of boyfriend. You know, I think it took her a little bit more time to realize, like, I don't need to just do what everyone expects me to do to, you know, be popular, get followers, whatever.
Well, but she breaks up with Ricardo pretty quick though, that so there was never, I mean, there was never that moment of like, you betrayed me, you know, kind of a thing. Like it was just, is she going to take that sort of next step and take that risk?
Yeah.
But it was pretty clear pretty much throughout the movie that they both were into each other. Yeah. And that there was like this whole sort of montage of him being kind of sad and mopey, and then her being sad, but she's in Times Square being sad.
And then realizing you got to take that risk.
And she's talking to some of the other people at the office, and he's like, that one of them says that oh, weren't you didn't you have something going on with that piano player, that piano teacher or whatever? And she's like, oh, we were just friends. And they're like, you could have fooled us.
Well, speaking of when they like do the big gala performance, what did you think of it, and when she brought him up and everything? And
it was a fun moment. Like I was kind of tweeting I was chatting with you as I watched it, and the middle part I was like, this is getting boring, nothing's happening, this is just kind of bland. But then like the last 30 minutes or so were like, oh, this is fun. I'm enjoying this now.
Yeah. I gotta say though, like we said, I don't think the original music was that good.
No, it sounded very tech enhanced. What do they call it? It I would have just rather have heard her singing instead of what they did to her singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there was nothing sort of special about the songs, or you did not buy that she was like J-Lo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was still a fun kind of moment when she, because they think, oh, she's not there. And then she's a big surprise. And I do think that Christina looked beautiful in her quince dress.
Oh yeah, when they went to the quinceañera.
Yeah, I thought that was a really pretty dress. And you know, she's got the crown on and everything like that. And then she goes up to Angelina, I think was her name in this movie. She goes up to Amy Garcia and gives her the crown and says, you know, now you get to wear one, because she didn't have a quinceañera. That was a nice moment, I thought. And she also had really pretty shoes. She just looked great.
Yeah, a lot of great costume pieces. What did you think about when she like showed up to the quinceañera and then like performed?
Yeah, that was fun. I thought, I mean, even if I didn't love the songs and the singing, I thought it was a fun reveal, fun moment.
I was like, maybe I'm just like, I would want the attention on me, so I'd be like, why is this person performing?
True, you know? But don't they sometimes have that at quinceañeras? They'll have like a
I guess that's
band
true.
or something, or performance.
Yeah.
But and also when you consider the fact that she's his only daughter, that he could probably afford to make this a little bit fancier, you know, than if he had like a lot of kids. Maybe. But I could see that I mean, definitely if it was like a wedding, and
I'd be like, get out of my
way. Exactly.
Sorry, this is about me. No offense. You could come back another day.
Yeah.
that would be my thought process. I'm like, maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
Feeling if anyone's performing, it's gonna be me.
Yeah. And then we get our kiss, and they're dancing and all of that fun stuff. So I enjoyed this one, even if I thought the middle was kind of dragged a bit. So I'd give it like 3.5.
I think I would give it maybe 3 crowns.
Yeah, something like that. So both, I think our audience will enjoy both these movies. So if you get to watch them, let us know what you think. And thanks so much for talking about these movies with me. I had a great time.
Thank you for having me.
And how can people find you and all of your content?
You can find me everywhere at Kaymaldo, Kaymaldo, and on my website, popcultureplanet.net.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot, especially during this holiday season, for people to find the podcast. We sure appreciate it. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is the best way that you can support us. And we have our watch alongs, like we talked about with Michael and Janine. And they're a lot of fun and a great perk for being a patron. And we also have the merch store, where we have a bunch of new fun festive designs. So please take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. And Merry Christmas. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Merry Christmas.